Hello, beautiful, curious soul who wants to understand how the heck things work and is spiritually curious. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I'm sure gonna try. So I want to talk about some spiritual reframes that I feel are important with things that otherwise could kind of feel like a spiritual bypass and that don't feel like they fully do it for me anymore. So there's certain kind of love and light truths that I think once really guided me on my path, and then I've been recently digging into them more, breaking them apart, questioning them. Things such as the divine perfection of things, the non-duality, these kinds of things that I'm coming back to it and kind of turning it around and having a throwdown with it. But what about this? But what about the evil in the world? What about this? Does this really make sense? So I'm taking these love and light beliefs and really just stripping them down and questioning every aspect. And I feel like I'm starting to come to a bit more of an understanding or a balance with it. And so I want to share some helpful kind of reframes of ways that things are commonly talked about spiritually that I'm like, yes, but there's more nuance to that. Or yes, but we could frame it slightly differently. So let's dive in. Let's start with everything happens for a reason. Now that is a beautiful belief that can really guide you and help you to relax into things. So when you're like, all right, it's all happening for a reason, you begin to trust life more. When things happen, your automatic reaction isn't, oh no, this is terrible. It's like, okay, let me see why this might be happening. I trust it's for a reason. And so that's beautiful, but it isn't fully satisfying when it comes to the horrors of the world. Like, you're meaning to tell me this is all perfect and all happening for a reason? What's the reason for insert blank horrific thing? Rather than saying everything happens for a reason, I would say everything is divinely interconnected. That's a subtle shift. So certain things, the reason why they happen is because souls choose that through their free will. And sometimes those free will choices end up being really dark and really violent and really awful in a way that didn't need to happen. Because the whole everything happens for a reason can kind of make it seem like everything that happens needs to happen. Not everything that happens needed to happen, but it did because of a free will choice. Well, everything is divinely interconnected. So when a free will choice is made, the entire universe kind of organizes around that in perfection to shift, to guide back to the light. So a dark choice is made, everything in the universe is going to conspire around that to help bring it back to light. So then let's talk about non-duality. When people start to understand transcendental non-duality, it's like you're starting to see things from a higher perspective. You're starting to understand. Our mind as a human often wants to just go right, wrong, good, bad. And especially with experiences that are uncomfortable to us, we're like, that's bad. And so as you spiritually awaken, we start to go, okay, the things that are uncomfortable aren't necessarily automatically bad. There can be beauty in that. There can be growth in that. There can be contrast in that. So, but then when it gets to this place of like, okay, well then there's no such thing as good or evil. There's no such thing as bad or wrong. It's all just contrast. And that contrast exists in this transcendent, non-dual, sort of neutral universe. Not quite. So rather than saying that there's no such thing as good or bad, it all just is, I would say everything is held within a field of unconditional love. That doesn't mean that it's all just groovy. It means that it's held within a field of unconditional love. Okay, and so then we get to this spiritual truth of like, everything's all right. It's all okay. It feels like really good news, right? Like a sigh of relief to go, It's all okay. And yeah, there is good news. Let me tell you what the good news is. Thankfully, no matter what we do throughout the span of eternity, in any incarnation, in any place, in any realm, no matter what we do, nothing will ever tarnish God. Nothing will ever tarnish God's love. Nothing will ever tarnish that perfection. No matter what we do, the fundamental fabric of the universe, which is God's eternal love, will never be altered. We cannot touch that. So that's where we get to take a sigh of relief and say, oh, thank goodness, right? That will always exist. But that doesn't mean that everything's great and groovy. Now, kind of taking all these things together, what I'm basically getting at here is, how do we contend the fact that God is loving and amazing and beautiful, and we're all part of this interconnected perfection, with the fact that there is evil and it is wrong and it feels bad and it's not okay. And the solution is not to transcend into this non-dual view of everything's perfect. Not everything that happens is the way that God would choose it. We are given free will. So we can choose all kinds of nonsense. Thankfully, that will never alter the unconditional love and the field of love that our soul always belongs to and always can and will return to. But we don't have to experience this shit. That starts to feel conflicting with what we know in our being, which is like, this isn't good. We don't like this. And what needs to be understood is that evil is not necessary. Maybe it's necessary that it exists as a possibility. Okay? In order to truly have free will, all things have to be possible. Even evil has to be possible. But it is not necessary to ever choose it. So it is necessary for it to exist as a potential, as a possibility. And when we come into this realm especially, it's very possible to commit and do evil deeds and to fall into darkness, but we never have to choose that. And so when people try to kind of be like, okay, well, like maybe it was all meant to be, it was all perfect, it was all necessary, it was all for the highest good. It's like, no, none of that was necessary for us to choose with our free will. We did choose it with our free will, and that is held within a field of unconditional love. And we're always forgiven and loved and held no matter what we do. And we don't need to do all this nonsense. So when we make choices that fall out of love, everything is divinely interconnected, and the entire universe will shuffle itself around to show you the truth. So if you're in a toxic relationship, it will be a mirror. God will consistently mirror to you how it's fallen, it's dark, it's toxic, and you can stay in that the rest of your incarnation if you want, but you don't have to. And if you really read the signs and open your eyes, you'll say, oh, I actually don't choose this for myself. Right? Any kind of darkness that we have, there will be a perfect mirror. Everything will conspire to try to show us that it is possible to choose something different, and to show us the love that is possible, and to also give us discomfort when we choose darkness, not from a place of punishment, but from a place of revealing, hey, when you do this thing, it doesn't really feel good, right? And that's supposed to be a hint that we're going in the dark direction. And that hint of discomfort is like, oh, oops, time to turn around. Oh, when I start going to the light, that starts feeling better. It's like playing a game of hot and cold. You know, when they're like, warmer, warmer, warmer. Ooh, burning hot. Oh, colder, colder. Ooh, freezing cold. That's what God's doing with us when we're like making these choices. It's like warmer, 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 closer towards love, closer towards love. Ooh, going towards darkness. Because it's trying to lovingly guide us and direct us back to what is possible, which is to use our free will to choose love. All right, I think that's what I had for you guys. I hope this helps. If you've been feeling confused at all with any of this spiritual non-duality perfection stuff and how to contend that with good and evil, I hope that this helped clarify some things. Much love.